YouTube and Snapchat and Rumblers. Welcome to my brand new show, Tommy G Sneakerhead Review. As my fans already know, I am a tremendous sneakerhead. I mean, this wall goes all the way down. If you're brand new to the channel, you just landed on it because my sneaker review came up on your feed. Welcome. If you like the review, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the little bell to notify you of any new postings. So without any further ado, let's get to the review. Today's review is on the Air Jordan 1 Lost and Found. Now this is the OG of OGs. This is the sneaker that started it all. This is the shoe that put Nike on the map. And let me tell you something, it's been one of my holy grails. Now, there's a whole story around this particular release of this shoe. And I gotta tell you, I love the story. Every so often, Nike does these things. You know, they take a re-release and they put a little spin on it. They put a little slant on it, and obviously for marketing purposes. And I'll tell you the truth, it friggin' works. And like I said, this shoe has been in my purview for quite some time. When it first dropped in 1985, I remember watching Michael Jordan as a kid on television, and I remember looking at the sneaker and thinking to myself, I gotta have that. And I've been a sneakerhead since I was a kid. You know, back when I was a kid, Nike shoes were basically running shoes. They weren't really anything to get excited over. And quite honestly, the running shoe sucked. So when I first saw these, I had to have them. And it's been like my Moby Dick ever since. So obviously couldn't get them in 1985. I tried again in 1994 when they re-released them. That wasn't happening. Then they did a drop on these in 2013, but the problem is they weren't an OG version. They put a Jumpman on the heel, which isn't going to fly. So I passed those up. They dropped them again in 2015. And I knew I could get them. And I tried, but, you know, waited in line. Didn't happen. Matter of fact, in 94, I distinctly remember waiting in line at the Foot Locker in King Center Mall in Brooklyn with my cousin trying to snag these. Couldn't get them. So, like I said, every time they dropped, they would sell out right on the rip, and you couldn't get a hold of these. But this time, I got lucky. So, check these out. This, like I said, is the shoe that started it all. Now, here's the little story behind this. So this particular iteration of this shoe has this whole, like, backstory to it. They call it the Lost and Found. The idea behind the shoe is that it's a nod or an homage to all the old school mom and pop sneaker shops from back in the day. Ironically enough, these are the same sneaker shops that Nike put out of business. You know, back in the day when I was a kid, you know, you didn't have resellers, you didn't have the internet. You know, if you wanted a pair of shoes, you had to take your ass to the store and go buy them. You know, when they would do these big releases of these drops, you actually waited in line. Like I said, I remember like in 94 waiting in line in King Center Mall. But most of the time, like you went to like, before even like the big sneaker places, when you wanted basketball shoes especially Jordans, you went to like these mom and pop, you know, sporting goods shops, and they sold shoes and what have you, and you walked in, you asked for your pair, they'd go in the stock room looking for them. There was no computer inventory, everything was paper, okay, pen and paper. So, the whole story behind this shoe is that it was lost in a stock room back in 1985, and just rediscovered recently and put on clearance sale. Now, here's a fun, and Nike really went all out. Like, as you can tell with the box, they sent, it's supposed to look like a distressed box. They distressed the corners, you see. And then they put a mismatched lid on it. Typically, you know, Air Jordan lids are black and red. And then the paper inside is like old newspaper ads for like Jordan sneakers. And here's the funny thing is, originally, these shoes in 1985 full price was $65. That's right, $65 for Jordans. Can you believe that shit? And you know, they would go on sale sometimes like $29.99, $30 like that. And this particular pair, like I said, that's supposed to have, you know, been lost in a whatchamacall, the back stock room of a sporting goods store. They have this fictitious store called Sandy Brothers. Okay, like one of these old mom and pop shop. And I remember these receipts, right? And you'd pay for the shoes and it would stamp paid on it. And it looks like this was a clearance sale, paid cash, final sale. It looks like these sold for $14.99. Can you imagine getting a pair of Jordans for $14.99? I'd buy a fucking truckload of these things. Okay, so the branding doesn't stop there. See, as opposed to a normal OG Chicago, this is supposed to have been left in a stockroom shelf for, since 1985. So what happens with shoes like that is they tend to get a little oxidized and weathered. So like if you bought this shoe brand new, right, it would be all nice and crisp. Now with those shoes back in the day, if they sat around, like the midsole would get a little oxidized, the outsole would get a little, the leather would dry and crack, the foam and the tongue would yellow out. So they basically put a patina on this shoes to mimic that. And honestly, I'm glad I missed all those other drops because I like this version better. It's still crisp as you can see, but when you have the shoe in hand, you can really see the detail more or less than on one of these videos. But the midsole here is not a sharp white like this. It's actually, on the box, it even says it's like a sail color. So it's kind of like an off-white. It's, a little yellowed to mimic the yellowing of the rubber from sitting around for so long. The outsole, they put this white oxidation on it to make it look like the rubber got oxidized. And here's the part that I really like. They distress the leather. So like on the toe box, I don't know if you can see that, but the leather cracks a little bit. And also on the back collar, they weathered the leather a little bit. So again, if this shoe was really sitting around since 1985, this is the exact type of thing that would happen to it. Even the tongue, the foam would yellow out. So what they did was they swapped out the white foam for yellow foam and put it behind this, the normal nylon on the tongue, and therefore gives it that vintage look, which looks amazing. This is a hot shoe. I'll tell you the truth, it's going to sell out. Well, it did sell out on the night. Matter of fact, you couldn't even get this on Sneakers app or any of the stores. You had to enter a raffle to get it. And I don't know anybody that caught a win from that. But if you want the shoe, you could still get it on StockX. And right now, they're trending between $400 and about $450 a pair, and retail on this was $190. Now I got this just slightly above retail. Not that I'm bragging. I have a little bit of a hookup, but nonetheless, you're not going to be able to find this for any place cheaper than that. Like I said, over the years I've been chasing this shoe. The only thing I came close to it was this. About 2 years ago, I got this Chicago Mid. This is it's like the poor man's Jordan, they call it. As you can see, it's a little lower than the OG, but the colorway is pretty much almost spot on, except for the toe box and except for the underside, and of course you don't have the Nike Air branding on the tongue. But holidays are coming. You have that special sneakerhead in mind. You want to pick them up a pair of shoes that's going to flip them out if they don't already have this. Go to StockX, put your bid in, see what you can accomplish. It's been your very first episode of Tommy Sneakerhead Review. I thank you for stopping in, and there's more to come. See you when I see you.